Uh, Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful Tuesday morning here in Austin, Texas. Just got done with an 11-mile run, and I decided to do another 10-mile walk. Today's about my dad. 3 years ago today, my dad passed away. And it was a significant turning point in my life. So this morning, got up at 3 o'clock, 3:03, and been up for a while, did my exercises. Wanted to get out by 6 o'clock to come do this run. Took me 3 hours to get here. I didn't leave the house till 9:13. But here's the interesting thing about that. Like, even as I sat there for those 3 hours, I even took a nap in the midst of that 3 hours. I knew I was coming out here. Like, I could tell myself all kinds of crazy things. But there was this thing in my head that was like, oh yeah, you can sit as long as you want, but you're gonna get out here. So I got out here. I said initially I was just gonna do 10 miles. At one point, my mind starts getting like, let me just say this. So I'm listening to this interview between Lewis Howes and Dr. Joe Dispenza, two guys that I really like to listen to. A friend of mine directed me to the interview. And so it's about 3 hours long. So I've been listening to it for the majority of my run. And it's just the idea of changing your trauma, changing your trajectory, changing your how do I explain this? Changing your trauma into positive things, changing it into your manifestation, changing it into your abundance, changing it to all these different things. How we're changing from taking away the pains of our past into the abundance of our futures and things of the sort. And it's been really impactful, actually. And it's one of those things where I could be in a mood, and as I'm listening to Dr. Joe and the science behind it and things of the sort, it just sort of propels me. It gets me into this higher space. What's so interesting about listening to people like him, over the last 3 years as I was going through my process, I was saying to myself, there were just certain things that I was realizing in myself. Understanding that I was living from my trauma, understanding that I was letting things hold me back, understanding that I was living in a life of scarcity, understanding that I was having my loop patterns and things of the sort. And as I was just going through my process, part of it was running, part of it was my faith, part of it was my community. I would just realize certain things about myself, things that I just never took a hold of before in my 40 odd years of life. And then as I started stepping into these things, I just started having these feelings. And as I'm having these feelings, so I'll listen to someone like a Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'll listen to someone like Eckhart Tolle. And I was just like, wait a second. Like, this is what they're talking about. This is the clarity of mind that's coming about, things of the sort, which is really, really cool. Something that I was really thinking about today, going back to my father, was the act of forgiveness. Like, sometimes we look at forgiveness on this even level, but like with a lot of things in our life, there's so much there's so much more to just the simplistic way we think of things. And for me, forgiveness was letting go of things that I couldn't control, or some pains that someone may have inflicted on me. But at the same time, once I did that, it made something click in my head to then think about the other person, the empathy, the compassion. Why did they do the things that they did? And being able to say, wait, man, if I was in that space, I'd probably do the same thing. So how can I beat someone down? It's just an interesting thing. Last but not least, I want to say love, support, and prayers to my good friend, Sherry and Jim, going through a tough time, and you were on my mind on this particular run. This one's dedicated to you as well, to my dad. Have an amazing day, ladies and gents.